Yeah, welcome everybody. My name is Revata, and along with Swarna, we are the co-VPs of parent programs at Tino PTSA, and happy to have you all here this evening. And I welcome Coach Tony Lay, who has offered to give this presentation for us. Tony has been a UC Berkeley admissions reader and a UCLA outreach director in the past, and today he's going to provide insights and strategies to help your family navigate the increasingly competitive college admissions landscape. He'll also help answer your questions, the ones that you submitted during registration. And I also wanted to add that Tony is not associated with the PTSA or Cupertino High School, and he's not endorsed by us. He's not here to, market his services. He's here to kind of mainly help us and provide us insights our college applications. And if you have any questions, please input your questions in the Q&A tab, and those questions will be addressed at the end of the meeting after the pre-call questions will be addressed. And thank you, Tony, again, and over to you.
All right. Thank you. Oops, there we go. My voice, my computer is slow. There we go. Welcome, everyone. I hope my name is Coach Tony. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to need some audience participation a little bit. Make sure I shared the right screen. At one time, I shared the wrong screen. It was really bad. So, really quick in the chat, if you guys can see the screen, go ahead and drop a quick yes in the chat. You should see it says Cupertino High School PTSA presents college admission secrets revealed for class of 2026 and 2027. All right, the yeses are coming through. Awesome. We are good to go. Let's go ahead and get started. So in this session today, we're going to talk about a few things. Right? First off, our frameworks. I think it's good to have kind of foundation, kind of why we're going to say what I'm going to say. And we're going to talk about a few things that the PTSA asked us to cover, the college career majors, the academics, the activities, the application, the essays, the financial aid. I have a little gift for you guys. And then we're going to do Q&A. Again, I do want to make this as great for you guys as possible. So I do want to answer as many of your questions as we can. I know the PTSA has some pre-call questions that I took a glance at. Super excited to answer those. And throughout this presentation, if you have any questions at any time, go ahead. There's a Q&A box down below. Tap there, drop your questions as well too. Okay, so if you are joining us, a few quick housekeeping items. People always ask it. Number one, this is for me, selfishly for me. If you guys can drop your grade in the chat, drop a 10 for 10th graders, 11 for 11th graders. I know this is a private session for these two grades. Go ahead and drop in the chat just so I know who's here. That's kind of for me to kind of gauge who's here. Thank you, people, for entering their grades in the chat. There you go. Love it, love it, love it. And again, drop your question in the box. And yes, this call is recorded. You guys will get the recording of this as well too. I'll be giving it to the PTSA. They'll be redistributing it. Not sure how, but they will get to you guys as well. So if it's our very first time meeting, my name is Coach Tony. I actually, if you guys know where Disneyland is, it's kind of where I grew up at. Grew up there. My parents, family of immigrants, they told me to go to school nearby. I got into UC Irvine full ride, got into UCLA full ride. I got into over 30 colleges. I did not go there. I actually went to Berkeley because I want to get away from my parents is what the truth there. Went to UC Berkeley. As a student, I got to work with the admissions department, help them with events and recruitment. So when I graduated, they invited me to be a reader with them, which means I was one of the people that when you submitted your apps, I read the apps behind the scenes and I recommended yes or no. All schools do, by the way, not just Berkeley, but all schools, public, private, Ivies, everyone included, they have a reading team. The reading team's responsible for going ahead and reading and filtering students yes or no. And a lot of the learnings from today will be kind of derived from that experience here. Got to work as a test prep, one of the largest test prep programs in the world. Worked at UCLA as an outreach director. I opened my own high school like 8 years ago. It's in Southern California. I was TikTok's first college admissions partner. And then I've been helping families with the college admissions process with the help of our team for the last like years as well too. So some of you guys have raised, maybe have seen my face somewhere online. We run some of the largest Facebook groups on admissions involved. So our UC Admissions Facebook group is the largest Facebook group on UC Admissions on Facebook. I think over 16,000 people are in there. Ivy League, we have a financial aid secrets group. And we help families with a weekly newsletter. They're all free as well too. So first off, why should we listen to me? They're like, man, this guy has a really cool whole mohawk, but why should we listen to this guy? Because I think we'll talk the talk. I'll talk a little bit, but we have also walked the walk. So this is just this past year as well too. This is some of our kids. Some of our kids already got, you can see timestamp. The timestamp's right there too, right? They already gone to MIT, one of our students, MIT, Chapman, top right, USC, Purdue, as an engineering student, USC. Here's more. One of our students. This is this past year as well too. Cornell and UPenn, some of the Ivy Leagues. Then bottom right, you see a mom giving her thanks to our team for helping her out. USC early action as well too. And then more. This is from last year because UCs are not out yet officially. But last year we get kids into all the other UCs as well. You see a lot of UCLA's, you see a lot of Berkeley's here as well too. We help kids get Caltech. That's the right one. That's the Caltech one as well too. So pretty much we've kind of been there, done that. And so just to let you guys know, there is no pitch today. There's nothing. I'm not going to sell you anything, so you don't need a credit card to attend and watch this training. You may have noticed I talk very, very, very fast, which means you just need to listen faster is all it is as well too. And the call is recorded. You can slow down on the recording to kind of hear every single thing there. Again, my one ask for today's session is to be selfish. Ask as many questions as you want. I am here to help, to answer as much as I can to help you guys win big in this admissions process. So if you guys are ready, can I get a 1? Go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat if you guys are ready to get started. You can notice I'm very interactive. You guys know talking to a screen is kind of hard as well too. So it's fun to kind of be in like almost in the same room as folks. So the chat is how we make that happen. So there you go. Tons of 1s. Someone got excited. Type 2 1s as well too. So first off, let's talk about our core frameworks in this process as well too. So basically, disclaimer again from us is I don't think there's a right or wrong way. I've been doing this for a very long time now. There's no right way in the admissions process. So everything today is just our way. This is our way. Our kids, you can see, have gone in. So I want to share kind of our why and our how for you guys. If you want to copy it is all. And kind of our strategy is to work backwards, right? Our strategy is to work backwards. So we kind of want to figure out, hey, where's your kid want to go, college and career? And we work backwards. And for those who kind of can deduce it, our company's name is Eagle Lock. That is college backwards. Now you will never unhear it, never unsee it again as well too, right? And so everything that we do will have a purpose. We do nothing for no reason. Like a lot of people, when you ask them, why are you doing that thing? And then most people can't really give you a good answer for it. Everything I'm going to tell you to do is there is like 2, 3, 4 reasons why we tell you to do each thing. Another big thing that we like to prioritize is working smart through the process. Families, we have 10th and 11th grade families here that you've kind of gone through the journey already. So it's not like your first rodeo. There's tons of things, right? You had tons of options over these last few years to do. Our goal is to find the most efficient and effective path. That's kind of a lot of our logic, is the most efficient and effective path. As a result, we focus only on a few key things that I know are the most important in the process, kind of ignore everything else because it's more like noise for us. Everything I'm going to share today is good for all schools. So I know some of you guys might be thinking for UC, some Cal States, some of you guys might be thinking private schools, out-of-state schools, Ivies. No, we don't share different things to different students. It's all the same things. We cater it differently based on where you want to go, but the feedback, the frameworks are all the same, okay? So the frameworks for us is that we call it the 3 pillars. There's 3 things that are the most important: the academics, the activities, and the application itself. These are not equal. I think that's one of the big kind of first lessons for you guys today, is that these are not equal and they're not weighed the same. In fact, there is an order to them. The academics is the least important factor of the admissions process. Not saying it's not important, just least important. So a lot of you guys who are focusing so much on school, like my mom, right? school, you're actually leading your child down not the best direction, right? So again, academics is important, but least important. Where we want to spend more time is going to be the activities, and most importantly, the application for our 2026 families. This is literally a few months away for us, okay? Let's go ahead and get started with the first section: college, career, and majors. So why are we starting here? Again, we like to go to where we want to go and work backwards to there. So first off, when it comes to their future career, right? Some kids know what they want to do. In the chat right now, can you do a quick yes or no? Does your child know what they want to do? Like, do you know if I ask you, hey, parent, do you know what your child wants to do? Drop a quick yes or drop a no as well too. And look at that. Right away, we have mixed answers, right? There's half people who said yeses. Thank you, everyone for participating, right? Half people said yeses, half people said no. Some of you guys do know, right? Some of you guys are like, oh, my child, I know my child's gonna be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. And then for those who said no, by the way, for now, something I would encourage you to do is I would recommend having them start tasting it, right? Start figuring it out. So two sites we usually kind of send our students to kind of start tasting it. One is a site called learningstylequiz.com. It's a personality driven one where they take a test, it's free. And by the end of it, it recommends, hey, based on your personality style, this is things you should consider. Look at another one. You guys know College Board, the people who make the SAT and the APs. They have something called the Big Future Career Quiz. You can take that as well too. The idea is we want to try things out, right? Try things out and see what we want to do. Realistically, your child's not going to touch this for the 10th graders for at least like 6 more years, right? At the minimum, if not longer. So keeping that in mind. Let's talk about career versus major though, because I think this is what a lot of families kind of get a lot confused about. So when it comes to career versus major, most people think that your major has to be related to your career, right? It used to be back in the day, but not anymore in today's world. The truth is it doesn't have to be related to it. So I actually have a case study for you to show you this exact thing. And you can do this on your own. Again, not right now, please stay. But after this call, do it if you don't believe me, right? So first one, I use a site called LinkedIn. Does anyone know what LinkedIn is? Drop a yes in the chat if you guys know what LinkedIn.com is. So LinkedIn.com is basically a social media platform for professionals, right? So that's why you share about where you went to school, what job you got, and it's like the professional Facebook is basically what it is, right? The reason why I like LinkedIn for research purposes is that these are real stories, right? A lot of you guys, I think my child wants to go here. I think they want to do this major. I think they want to do this career. These are all hypotheses, right? These people, we can find people who've done the thing and we can reverse engineer success based on them. So in this example today, I looked at lawyers, right? So again, you guys can plug in whatever career you guys are thinking you want to do, but I plugged in lawyers for first. So go LinkedIn, type the word lawyer, and there's a filter, click people, right? Once you do that, here are the first 6 that popped up for me, right? It might be different for you guys as well too, but these are the first ones that popped up for me. Check this out. So the first one, let's see. For the first one, right? This one, his name is Omar, right? Omar right here got his bachelor's in UC San Diego, got his master's, his doctorate, not doctorate, his JD at UC Berkeley School of Law. He was a political science major, very typical, right? Lawyer, political science. Moving over, this person got a bachelor's in social studies, right? And still went to law school. This person over here, social welfare and public policy, a little different, but I guess so, right? And it still became law school. This person down here, political science, public policy, duh, is one of those duh people, right? Joanne, very, very typical. Monica over here went environmental studies. Holy moly, environmental studies, right? That is completely different than law. But they are a lawyer today, right? Haley over here. Haley went to Berkeley and studied mass communication media studies. Almost pretty different. Walter also became a lawyer today. Another example is my roommate in college. He and I started as math majors. He stayed, I left as well too. He graduated as a math major today. He's a lawyer as well too. So that's kind of the first one is that when it comes to career versus major, career is what you do, major is what you study. Okay. In today's world, you can pretty much study whatever you want and still pretty much end up as most careers you can think of. The only exception I can't figure out yet is engineering. I have not yet met an engineer who's not an engineering major yet. If you know somebody, let me know. I can completely prove my point then in that way here, right? So now how do we pick a major, right? Because a lot of you guys are asking Coach Tony, what if my child doesn't know what major they want to major in? Does anyone feel this way? Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys feel this way, that your child has no clue of what major they are. You're like, come on, child, you got to figure it out, right? As well too, but they don't. Yeah, several families dropping a yes right here as well too. Well, let's go real talk. We have parents here. This is a parent event as well too. Parents, your child right now, if you join us, your 10th or 11th grade, your child's 15, 16, 17 years old, right? If I ask you guys, parents, When you were 15, 16, 17, did you know what you want to do or what career you actually ended up doing today in your day-to-day world? Right. And I bet you majority of you would say no. Some of you go, yes, I've known I've always wanted to be a doctor. I became a doctor, right? But a lot of you guys, no, I had no clue I'd be where I'm at today. So if that's real, that's you, that's your story, and a lot of people around you, why are we putting the unrealistic expectations for them to have to know their major, right? So we'll talk about it a little bit more of kind of when they should exactly know. But just a high level though, they should identify majors though. The reason why, as a reader, I was trained to look for the evidence of that, right? That's something that's really hard to look for undecided, right? But it's easy to look for certain things. So the certain thing doesn't have to be a major though. What we encourage families to think about is called pathways. We're actually going to talk about pathways right now. There's three pathways pretty much out there, and I'm going to have you guys help me out and do a little poll study. There's three pathways that have basically any major you can think of in the admissions process fits into one of these three. Pathway number one is engineering or computer science. If that's you guys, if your child's that's drop a one in the chat, right? Drop a one in the chat here, right? If the second one is STEM and business. So if they're interested in bio, in physics, in economics, in I'd say business already, right? And all these environmental science, right? Boom, pre-med folks. This is where you guys fit as well too. Boom, and that's number two. Drop a number two in the chat. And for everyone else, humanities and everything else. I included everything else to have the true catch-all of everything else. Everything, every major out there, you give me any major. It fits under one of these three categories. And the reason why I put them in this category is you prep for these exactly the same. It's called overlays. Overlays are things that a reader is trained to look for based on your major. But again, you're 15, you don't know your major. Cool. You probably won't switch. So like, let's say for those of you who dropped number one, right? Your kid's interested in engineering and computer science, they might switch, right? They might switch, but they're probably not going to switch to history, if that makes sense. And vice versa, the history, if your child's a history major, they probably won't switch to mechanical engineering, right? So they probably will stay within their pathway. That's kind of why I use the word pathway rather than major itself, right? One thing to keep in mind about majors, again, this is a very catered presentation to your school. I'm assuming, I was told a lot of you guys may be considering UC schools, right? Keep in mind that the majority of the UCs admit by college, not by major. So what does that mean? It means that your actual major might not play as big of a role as does in a lot of other private schools, for example, too, right? So the example here is if you guys are interested in Berkeley, right? UC Berkeley, your school next to you guys. One of their colleges is called the College of Letters and Science. Under the College of Letters and Science, there's a bunch of majors. So some of the majors include anthropology, chemistry, economics, geography, Latin, sociology. All these are majors under LNS. So whether you apply as an anthro, econ, Latin, sociology, you'll be considered in the same kind of spectrum. Where it will change is if you pick a different major. For example, engineering is its own college, right? Then you'll be viewed differently. Berkeley nowadays recently again made a new major, new college called the College of Computer Science, or that's a fancy word for it, but computer science, right? Computer science, data science, and I think stats is now a new major. So if you apply to one of those, you'd be competing against those folks in particular. So that's something to keep in mind. There are two schools that do by major still. That's UC Irvine and UC Santa Barbara. So if you do those, major does matter more at those schools, but for the other schools, the college does matter more than the actual major itself, right? So now when it comes to picking colleges, right? Most of you guys probably do this. You go to Google, you type in best college for blank. Here's why it's a mistake to search a college only because of a major. Because statistically, from the National Center of Education Statistics, 80% of you guys or your kids will switch majors at least one time in college. For me, I switched 5 times. So I am living proof that this is true as well too. So if we know they're gonna switch so many times, you shouldn't look for a school based on a major, right? So let's talk about, for again, a lot of you guys haven't gone that far yet into college. So let's kind of skip a little ahead of how does college actually work and how does major fit in there. So this is college. There's 4 years, right? Year 1, 2, 3, 4 in college. Does anyone know what the first 2 years are? The first 2 years of college is going to be your general education and your prerequisites. That means whatever school you end up going to, you're going to take your English, your math, your history, your science again and take classes to declare your major. You're still not your major. Your major kicks in year 3 and year 4. So you're not going to even talk about majors till when you're 21, basically, when you're a third year in college. So again, a lot of people are focusing on majors so early. I think major is a college decision, not a high school decision, right? So don't focus too much on it there. So when it comes to picking colleges, though, right? I wouldn't recommend picking by major. Instead, I would have factors that matter to the student, because again, parents, you guys are going to help your child out, but you're not the one going to college. They're the ones going to college. So they should have a say, right, in kind of what is in their school. So something that I have students look at is class sizes, right? How big, how small a school. Some schools are really big, classes are huge. Some classes are very small, school is very small. Surrounding, right? You're not just going to be going to school, you're in that city for several years. Well, too, make sure you like the city as well. Campus culture, student life. Some of them have a really big, like, social scene. Some of them has nothing, right? What does your child want out of that? Housing and dining. Every school is a little different, right? You don't appreciate this until you actually go through and you eat the same thing every single day, right? This does matter to some students. And again, the last one, fit and personal feel of like, hey, is this the right fit for me based on the other factors too? There is no right answer. I think that's what makes it fun for me, hard for you guys, because you guys want the definite answer for a lot of times. There's no right answer. This is based on every single student, what they care about specifically, and their ranking of these as well. That being said, again, we're in California. Let's talk about our two state schools as well. So the first one is the UC campuses. For those who, a quick little lesson on the UCs, 9 schools. There's actually 10 UCSF is our 10th one. That's only for grad school. They are large classes. So my classes, for example, first year, I had the classes of 200 to 400 people per class. It's like a movie theater with lights on, right? So it's a huge as well too. They focus more on theory and research at those schools, and you pretty much live there. Cal State's, on the other hand, there's 23 Cal States across California, right? A lot smaller classes, and so you have a lot more direct contact with the faculty. They focus on more hands-on things, right? So that's why there are certain majors that kind of like skew better for Cal States than UCs, vice versa, as well too, based on this fact alone. And a lot of these Cal States are commuters. Again, doesn't say you can't live there, but for the most part, it's mainly commuter based. And the third type is a very catch-all situation, is private schools, right? All the private schools out there, these are usually typically a lot smaller classes here, and they have a lot of special focus on each one as well, right? It's kind of the big one. This is so big that I can't figure out how to can calculate it. It's pretty much everything, right? You can find any extreme in privates. The where it's different is the cost, right? So if you're thinking about Cal State schools for junior families, start the piggy bank saving it, right? Cal State's, wherever school you end up going to, tuition this is per year. The prices on this page is per year. You're in college 4 years, so the total cost times it by 4, right? Tuition is about 8,000-ish a year, with everything else, room and board, fees, extra 26, total is 34. UC's tuition is about 15, room and board is about 30. You're looking at 45 per year. Privates is where it gets a little crazy, right? Privates, this is actually real numbers. These aren't made up numbers. This is actually USC's numbers as well too. So tuition is 70,000 per year. Plus that, you look at 95 per year. That's per year. So you multiply by 4. That's how much you guys will be paying for college there. I've learned doing this for a long time. Kids are very expensive, is all, right? That being said, I do want to touch on another option. One thing I am happy is that the stigma of community college has been dying down, which is great. I think it's a great option for families that think it's a great option as well too. So breaking it down, not sure how much you guys know about community colleges, but a typical route, right? You typical go high school, go to college, year 1, 2, 3, 4, you graduate. If you go community college, you spend 2 years there, right? Spend year 1, year 2, and you transfer into year 3. You do year 3, year 4, and you graduate. Your diploma does not say you're a transfer student. No one knows you're a transfer unless you tell them. That's kind of how it is, right? So no one actually knows. And guess what happens those first 2 years? Those first 2 years, at a 4-year and a 2-year, you're taking the same classes. You're doing your general education again. You're doing your prerequisites again, either at the community college level or the 4-year level. That doesn't change either way you go. Okay. So where's the cost land in this one? Tuition for this one, and I use the numbers from Deanza. I think that's your local community college, right? So a year is 1,500. That's a full-time student taking every class. 1,500. Books and supplies, around 1,800. That's really high. You actually get like cheaper books and stuff like that too. But that's that. Total 3361. Comparative numbers as well too. So basically you pay 2 years any of these ones, and you finish up the other years too. The one, I won't say downside, but the one thing you will give up if you go the community college route, which is important to some students, is the first year experience, right? So if you are going to go the community college route, you lose out because again, when people go to 4-year college, they're 18, they're lost, and they're kind of silly, right? As well too. You can't replicate that feeling pretty much any other time in life, right? It's one of those like everyone is smart, everyone's living together, everyone's trying to learn together, and they're all confused. First time they're ever out of the house for a long time. So that's the environment you can't really replicate if you go the transfer route. But if it's from a very practical money point of view, right? Here are the options for you guys there. Okay. Really quick check. Is the speed good? Let me know in the chat, yes or no, in the chat if the speed is going good. The reason why I'm going pretty fast is I have a lot of slides as well too. So I'm gonna go a lot faster now, just to make sure we are good. Okay. So academics. There's two things for the UC requirements, the A through G requirements, the minimum UC GPA of a 3.0 GPA here. So when it comes to the A through G, here's the A through G. You guys should, I think you may know that. If you don't know that, here's the A through G requirements. These are the classes you need to take to apply to the UCs. There's a few notes you gotta keep in mind though. Number one, the reason why I'm not gonna go into too much detail, your high school graduation requirements is the A through G. Luckily in California, most high schools coincide their graduation requirements with the A through G. So I don't, for California families, I don't go super in detail because just keep doing what your counselor is telling you to do and you're good to go there, right? One caveat about math. Math, 3 years means it starts at algebra 1, right? So some of you guys are like, oh, I only took 2 years of math and I'm at pre-calc right now. Pre-calc is actually year 4, right? So algebra 1 is year 1. So if you have taken algebra 2 as a ninth grade, you take algebra 2, you're technically done with your math requirement. Again, something I think we'll say is treat recommended as required though. So we do recommend doing more if you can, especially if you're aiming for the more competitive UC schools or private schools, right? They are going to want the kids who go above and beyond there. Language of English needs to be continual. You can't do Spanish 1, French 1 and get 2 years. It has to be Spanish 1, Spanish 2, French 1, French 2 to get 2 years there. And last one, area G, is if you do a recommended year, it counts as G as well. So if you do a recommended year, you don't have to take a elective class, you're good to go there. Okay, so how do you calculate GPA? Really, really quick. First off, you convert your grades to number of points. So A's are 4, B's 3, C 2, D1, F 0. The pluses and minuses do not matter. Do not worry about that, right? It matters in college, not in high school. Every term, you get a grade. So for example, semester school, get 2 grades per class, right? Is it? For the UC GPA, you only look though at A through G classes or college classes you've taken. So if you took health is a class that you have to take, I believe, as a California requirement. PE, you have to take PE as a California requirement, but that would not count towards your UC GPA, right? Number 2, they're only going to look at, for the UC GPA, they're only going to calculate summer after 9th to summer after 11th. 11th graders, little pro tip, I don't think I wrote in the slides, take summer classes this year. It'll be an extra bump for you guys this upcoming summer, okay? That's that. That being said, though, 9th grade still matters. People's like, oh, no, I can do whatever. No, no, no. 9th grade grades still matter. As a reader, I still saw all your 9th grade grades. It just wasn't calculated in GPA, but I still saw it, all right? Once you have all that, you add the honor points. This is where it gets kind of confusing, so hang on tight. So every honors point per term, you get a +1. So if you took like an honors, AP, your school is actually pretty cool. I looked it up. Every honors class is an honors. Most schools can't really say that, by the way. Most schools honors sometimes doesn't count as honors. So for you guys, any honors class, any AP class, college, you get +1 point per term. Here's where it gets confusing. You get a max of 4 points in 10th grade, a max of 8 points in 10th, 11th grade. So what does that mean? So again, you guys are at, you get like 2 grades per class. So this is +4 in 10th grade means if you took 2 honors approved courses in 10th grade, you earn the max 4 points. In 11th grade, though, you can kind of make it up because in 10th, let's say you took zero. 10th grade, you guys took zero AP, zero honors, but 11th grade, you took four classes that were honors, then you can actually earn the max eight, and it's max eight total for everything. So the examples in 10th grade, you took two APs, 11th grade, you took two APs, you get 8 points here. In 10th grade, you took one AP, 11th grade, you take three APs, you get the full 8 points. If, for example, you took two APs 10th grade and one AP 11th grade, it doesn't add. Oh, let's say you took three APs 10th grade to do example, right? You cap out at 4 points, and then 11th grade took only one AP. That's only 2 points there. You can earn max of 6 points total. So keeping that in mind, that's kind of the tricky part of the UCGPA calculation, right? Add up all the points divided by number of letter grades you have, and whatever you have left is the GPA. You do not round it. It's blank, blank, blank is the GPA itself. However, I told you all that to tell you it doesn't matter. The reason why it doesn't matter is, let's say I have two students, right? Student A, 4.0, student B, 4.0. This is exactly how readers look at students, right? Two students here. Well, we don't look at two students, but like the analogy for you guys, right? Student A, straight A's. That's how they got a 4.0. But they didn't take any honors, took all the basic classes because I wanted to make it easy, right? Boom. As well, too. Student B got A's and B's, though, right? But a lot of A's, and then they took the most rigorous classes they can, which mathematically became a 4.0. So if you were the reader in the chat, let me know. There's some audience participation. If you were the reader, and you were your university, will you take student A or student B? Right? Drop an A, drop a B in the chat. You take the student with a 4.0 straight A's basic classes, or student B who challenged themselves, took the hardest classes, and then got A's and B's as well too, right? People, a lot of B's. If I was an admissions reader for this school, I'd pick the B student, right? And again, because my school's gonna be hard. I want to make sure the student's good as well, too. Okay, so that's that. So what really matters? I kind of hopefully disprove that GPA is important. That's kind of my first big takeaway when it comes to academics. Ignore GPA. It's a number that I don't look at, I don't care about. Your counselors talk about it, your teachers talk about it. They can talk about it. I do not care for the sake of admissions, right? For me, the two things that I care about only: grade trends, and number two is academic rigor, right? Grade trends and then academic rigor. So really quick in the chat, can I ask for a quick favor? Can you guys drop the letter B? Drop the letter B in the chat just to help me out with fast. Drop the letter B really quick. I want to hit lots of B's in the chat really quick, right? I only see 3 people. There we go. There's the B's. Fantastic, right? B's. The reason why I have this, one of the big things that hopefully you guys can take away from the school, because you guys go to a very, very smart school. B's are not bad grades. One more time. B's are not bad grades. I'll say it one more time for the people in the back. B's are not bad grades. All right. So grade trends. What am I looking for? I'm looking for strong grades. I didn't say 4.0. I say strong grades, meaning I want high plateaus. If you have a lot of A's, a few B's, that's fine. We actually interviewed all of our Ivy kids this year. All of them did not have a 4.0. This is the first year none of our kids had a 4.0. They all had A's and B's on their schedule, and they all made it to the top schools out there, right? So high plateau. Or some of us, I'm not gonna call you guys, you don't have to mention, you say yes to this one, but some of us, maybe in ninth grade, we struggle a little bit, right? Because between middle school and high school, you moved, or you're not used to the speed of Cupertino, right? It's a little harder. But let's say in ninth grade, a little struggle, but over the years, your grades kind of went up, right? As the years went up, this is a great trend to have, and we call it the upward trend. I think I enjoy these students more than the high plateau students, because I know that you had adversity and you know how to overcome it now. Again, don't purposely do that, but these students, that's kind of what I see from them as well too. Okay, the reason why this is important, right, is that's the grade trends. The second thing is the academic rigor. And out of the two, rigor is the most important thing. Grade trends is important, but not as important as rigor. And the reason why this is important is here. Most people think college is having fun, right? Having fun. You can see here, having fun as well too. What college really is, and if parents here, you have kids in college, you can agree with me as well too, is that it's not the greatest. So as well too, right? People say they want to get into these top schools, but once you get in, it's not the greatest in the moment as well. So maybe some kids have a great time all 4 years, but again, I think every student breaks at least once or twice or many times as well too. The reason why is college is hard, right? No one tells your kids this. I will tell your kids this. College is hard as well too. So the big thing as a reader, what I'm looking for is, hey, are you going to be okay? If I say yes to you, Are you going to be okay once you get to our school? Because I don't want to say yes to you and kick you out later on because you can't keep up with the rigor. Or you drop out because you know I can't handle the rigor anymore. Parents, you don't win, students don't win, college doesn't win. No one wins that situation. That's why rigor is so important. Looking at your schedule, I can see how well you did. So when it comes to here, right, I can see here the honors, the AP, the college level courses, right? You took a lot of them. Awesome. I know you can handle the workload. And the question is how much? How much rigor do I need? And this is the fun answer for you guys. It's based on your goals. So if you guys are aiming for top schools, right? You're aiming for top schools as well. You want to match the top students in your class. So if the top kids taking 5 APs, we want 5 APs. If the top kids taking 3 APs, we want 3 APs as well too. So that's kind of the metric that you always want to look at because you are going to be compared regionally. You guys are luckily, unluckily in the Bay Area, one of the most competitive regions in all of California. You also kind of compared against your high school. So that's the other piece of the puzzle as well too. So that's why getting the rigor up is really important. But you like Coach Tony, you told me academics is the least important. So how is it? That's kind of counterintuitive. That's true. So there is a trick. There's a little trick that I do. Have you guys heard about dual enrollment? Quick, drop a quick yes and no in the chat if you guys have heard of the concept of dual enrollment. And for those who are going to say no, right? Some perks. If those who know me, I love dual enrollment. It's one of my favorite topics in college admissions, right? So dual enrollment is equivalent to an AP rigored course from from a reader's point of view. 1/4 semester can be compared to a full year in high school. Mathematically, 1 unit is 3.3 high school credits. So a 3 unit class gets you 10 credits or a whole year of high school credit, right? These classes are also offered online asynchronous, so you can still manage your activities with it. And you can pick your professors, which means you can probably pick easier professors. So a lot of you guys have heard of dual enrollment, but you probably have heard it through your school, right? The CCAP, right? Your counselor like, yeah, dual enrollment. This is our program that you gotta take as well too. I looked it up. These are some of the classes that you guys can do as well too. If that was your definition of dual enrollment, I have some sad news. I have some sad news for you. I don't agree. I don't agree with this dual enrollment. The reason why I don't agree, let's take a look real fast, right? I learned you can do, oops. I learned you can do like a laser point now. It's pretty cool, right? So here, right, at Cupertino High School, these two classes, for example, is kind of where you guys are from. This class is called College and Majors. This class is called Intro to College, right? These classes do not transfer to anywhere, right? You're taking them simply for the units, but it has no effect, doesn't help with anything, doesn't improve anything. It's just classes you're taking to eat up time. Again, I am really big on efficiency. I want to be as efficient as we can. So a lot of the classes that they offer through here, I don't agree with. So instead, if I was a Cupertino high school student, this is what I would do. I would look for IGETC classes, IGETC, intersegmental general education transfer curriculum classes. These are transferable to all the UCs, all the Cal States, a lot of private schools. Take classes only from this list. And then I would filter for online classes so I can still manage high school and my activities and this as well too. I will look up the professors to make sure they're easy on ratemyprofessors.com and then get the class code and go to my counselor because as long as they sign off on it, I can still take the class. I don't have to be part of any special program to do this. Keep that in mind. You don't have to be part of any special program. They don't tell you that. Don't tell if your counselor gets mad, don't blame it on me, by the way. Right. So is that right? So that is the thing that you want to screenshot it. Boom, that's your screenshot. Let me go through a real example for you. This is De Anza. Again, if you don't have to do De Anza, you can do a lot of other schools, but I think it's really close to you guys. So why not? Right. So I looked up the IGETC, De Anza. This is the list. I pulled out area 3, area 4. I recommend starting there first for everyone, no matter whatever your major is, right? Start here and pick any class. I'm going to pick sociology. If I was to go back to college, I'd be a sociology major. So I picked up sociology, looked it up on the class schedule. These are the classes that are available in the spring, I believe. I clicked it right. All right. So these are the classes, right? So you see right away, parents, you may have heard your kids might be scared to take certain classes after high school because the teacher is hard, because they're the only teacher that teaches that class. In college, however, it's one class here, four teachers? Four teachers teaching this class. You get to pick and choose which teacher you want. So once you have this, I filter by online. So these are all the online courses. There were in person. I filter those out. These are excuse me, online, right? You can see that one class is full, can't do that. Waitlist, can't do that. So I still have 4 classes I can still take for different professors. Now I'm gonna go to ratemyprofessors.com and look them up. The first teacher came up and he got 2.9. Holy moly, that's not good. It's not a 5, right? Not that good. And the reviews really like skewed, right? Very like all over the place. Hard. And the first review you see is a bad one. Next one. I look up Lindo. There's nothing. This is actually a pretty good example because if you don't find them, that means they're new or they're from a different school, right? Because it's community college teachers switch all the time. So I recommend don't risk it, right? Don't risk it for the biscuit. Skip them. Next one, Steve Nava. Holy moly, 4.3 out of 5. A lot of 5-star reviews. The first review here is a 5, take his class. And last one is Tracy. Still decent, but again, not as good as Steve. So if I was one of you guys, I would try to sign up for the Steve class before it gets filled up as well too. And the class code was what, 35641. Tell counselor, hey, I want to sign up for class. This is the class code. Boom, and you're good to go, right? So that's kind of the premise there. Keep in mind pathways, right? Switching gears again, pathways. If you are, again, I saw it earlier, we have a lot of engineers, computer science. There's something called overlays, classes that I'm trained to look for in your app. This is what we have our students do, so I would recommend you copy it as well. Number 1, very strong math, meaning if by 11th grade, finish Calc BC. That way, 12th grade, you can take college math, multivariable linear algebra differential equations. You can also want to do strong physical for engineers specifically, right? Like physics, right, is the big thing. If you are number 2, if you are a business or STEM, strong math again, right? Get BC done, right? And take stats. That's pretty much where you're gonna go. And strong biological sciences is all, right? The bio, the chems, those ones. And if you're everything else, just do all the things. It's kind of broad on purpose, right? So just do a lot of rigor. Rigor is more important than anything else. The math, you don't have to go as hard there. Before we talk about activities, really quick about test scores, because that's probably what you guys are kind of hearing about too, especially juniors, right? It's like, should I do it? Should I not do it as well too? So keep in mind, AP and IB scores are good. This is like the family's like, oh, I self-studied the class, I'm taking the AP exam. That's just the scores, right? It doesn't show rigor. It shows that you get college credit, right? That's pretty much it, right? As well too. The SAT, ACT, right? There's 3 conditions now. There's required schools, test blind, and optional schools itself. So which one should you take between the 2, right? Both are similar. The SAT is more Englishy heavy. It's a digital format. The ACT is more math driven. They are shifting to a digital format in 2 months from now. In 2 months from now. So the recommendation here, take both practice tests and see which one your kid does better on and do that one. Is kind of the recommendation there. Now, should I take the test or not? There's 3 conditions for you guys. Number 1, test blind. If all your schools are test blind, aka if you're applying to only the UCs in Cal States, nothing else, you are this category, test blind. Skip it. Don't even take a test. It's a waste of your time. Don't do it. Right? Number 2, test required. If at least one of your schools are test required, like the Ivies, not all the Ivies, most the Ivies. Some schools are optional still. Most the Ivies, MIT, those schools, they're required. You have to take it, plan for it twice, do the best you can, right? The biggest bucket though is optional, right? A lot of schools are optional out there. So when it comes to optional schools, I always say, how good is your child as a test taker? Because if they're not a good test taker, don't do it. Don't take the test, right? Skip it. But if they are decent, where you want to go, you want to score within the 50th percentile. That's kind of the range you want to stay in and just get there. You don't have to get a perfect score anymore. Just score between the percentile there. In terms of studying, I've seen about 100-point increase for every month of studying is kind of what I see here. Okay, so that's the academics here. Moving over to activities, right? So when it comes to activities, there's 3 things we look for: passion, interest, commitment, and leadership, right? So the big thing, and this slide helped me cut down activities by a lot. There is no activity that college admission readers are looking for. A lot of you guys, a lot of parents tell me, Coach Tony, summer program, internship, research, which one should I do? Which one, blah, blah. And the thing is, the question is, which one do they need? Do I need to do this? And the answer for you is you don't need to do this. You can do this, right? So keep in mind, you can. Can you do summer program? Sure. Do you need to do it? No. Can you do internships? Sure. Do you need to do it? No. For anybody, no matter what the school is. If you look again, we've interviewed all of our Ivy kids. Some of them have some of them have none, right? And it's all different. different for every single student because again, you don't need this as well. So how do you know you should or should not, right? That's kind of the big question now. So there's a filter question that I ask all students to run everything through. So any activity you can think of, should I do this club? Should I do this sport? Should I continue with Boy Scouts? Should I do this summer program? And all these things that people ask me, run them through this one question. That should solve 90% of questions for you guys. The question is for the student. If you couldn't put this activity on your application, would you still want to do it? And then by the answer here, will tell you right away, yes or no, right? Yes or no as well too. That's pretty much the filter question for all things. Hey, should I keep playing sports? I'm like, if I didn't let you write that on your app, would you still want to do it? They're like, no. And I'm like, no, then don't do it. Find something else to do, right? As well too. So that's the big filter question when it comes to there. So what do I look for, right? So again, if I don't look for any specific thing in your app, what I look for? I look for the hours. Let me do some quick math. We'll get out real fast, right? So quick math problem. I do this to prove a point, by the way. So I'm not just doing math for no reason, right? 24 hours, 7 days a week. There's 168 hours in a week. Your kids should be sleeping 8 hours. I bet you they're not. They're probably sleeping a lot less, but they should. 8 hours, that's 56 hours in a week. I think they're in school for like 30-ish hours, maybe plus or minus a little bit, right? But on 30-ish hours, they're studying for 3 hours a day, right? 15 hours, again, probably, maybe not, but who knows, right? I also call it me time, right? TikTok, video games, social, there have to be a kid. They have to be normal, right? So do all that things well too. You do all this math, you're over 50 hours left. So when parents tell me my child does nothing, I'm like, they do nothing for 50 hours, right? As well too. What do they spend that 50 hours doing, right? So the most important factor we cases our metric for us. I don't think anyone else does this talks about this, but our kids follow this. They do well. So I would have you guys copy as well too if you guys want to. So the hours per week, if you're aiming for a UC school, we want you to be at 20 plus hours per week of activities. Doesn't matter what you do, but if you add up everything together, run 20-ish hours per week. If you're aiming for a top U like LA, Berkeley, Stanford, these schools, 25-ish hours a week. And if you're aiming for like the Ivy Plus, like the top 25 schools that we see, 30 plus hours a week. The what does not matter. Actually, I lied. I'll teach you how to get the what. Here's the what, right? So how do we get there? Because some of you guys might not be like, holy moly, Coach Tony, my child's only at 5 right now. How do I get to 20? 3 ways. There's 3 ways you can get to number 1, right? They're probably doing stuff already, right? Is number 1. Do they like that? If they like that, do more of it. It's a very easy, like, hey, I like doing this. I like playing sports. Can you play more sports? Can you do more of that thing? Yeah, do that, right? You're in part of a club. Do you like it? Cool. Can you be more involved in the club? Yeah, do more of that as well too. Again, there's nothing that you have to do for college apps. When you get to the application, I'll show you kind of exactly why, right? That second thing is tasting your major. You want to try things in your major. The reason why colleges will ask you, why do you want to be this major question on their college apps? Most students have a terrible answer. They don't have a good answer. The best framework I've seen so far with our students is, here's what I've taken in school-wise. I've done these things together. I want to continue that at your school. You have to have the things to say that. So do stuff. Could be shadowing, could be volunteering, could be interning somewhere, doing stuff. It's in the field so you can taste it more. And the third one is what makes your child unique, right? This is a fun one, right? What makes you a one-on-one? So if I told you guys, hey, how many college admissions people do you guys know? And I bet you guys, you probably clicked on an ad once and now you're stuck with like so many people's faces, right? You're like, oh, it's a lot of people I know. I'm like, cool. How about if you college admissions people in California, right? If it's smaller, but still a lot of people. But if I told you how many people, college admissions, California with the Mohawk, and for me, I love Pokemon cards, I love wrestling, and I love Marvel. So if I told you college admissions, California, Mohawk, who loves Pokemon, loves Marvel, loves pro wrestling, I become a one of one. A lot of families are trying to copy other people, like, oh, they're doing robotics, I should do robotics too. They're doing this, I should do it too. You're just a copycat now of someone else. You have to be that one of one. That's how you literally stand out, right? You be that one of one and doing things that makes your child most excited and interested in. That's the thing. Okay. As long as you do that, you will hit the leadership. And I want to touch upon this because, again, not everyone's going to get it. Is that there's some roles, the ones that everyone talks about is the formal roles: president, secretary, founder. That's the formal roles. But another form of leadership that's really big still is informal roles. These are like leading a group, being an older sibling, right? How many of you guys have like multiple kids and your child's like the oldest one? I had a parent I saw earlier had an 8th grader, 11th grader, right? The 11th grader can say, hey, I'm an older brother or sister to someone else. That's a time commitment. That counts an activity. You could put that. Yes, you can. You can put that on your college apps. That I did this as well too. Activity is how you spend your time, right? It's not that's per thing. It's how you spend your time. Hey, I spend my time. I got to take care of my siblings. My parents have to work, so I have to go feed my siblings and help them with the math homework. So that's literally what I did. I did all that as well too, right? So that's activities. You share that on your application. And leading us into application, this is we're almost home, everyone. Almost home. So categorizing colleges first. There's three types of schools out there. There's the reach, safety, and target schools. Reach schools are if your average stats are below, so or like any of the Ivy Plus, they're all reaches for everyone as well too. Target schools if your stats match their stats, if your GPA matches their GPA, test scores matches their test scores, then the target. And if you're above it, is usually called a safety. I don't like these words just because like I've seen opposite scenarios happen, right? Of like kids who were super good but still didn't get in because again, these are just number metrics, right? And that's not the whole picture either. So keeping that in mind, right? So for today though, we're gonna talk about a few things. You guys let me know if this is true or not, right? You guys are probably be applying to Cal State schools, UC schools, and private schools. Is that fair? Is that fair to say? Drop a yes in the chat. I haven't said yes in a while. Let me know if those are the schools that you guys are probably gonna be applying to. Juniors next year, sophomores in 2 years. Sophomore in 2 years from now, right? These are pretty much the bulk of all schools. Awesome. Fantastic. Right. So let's break down these apps for you guys. So first one, Cal State app. Cal State app is going to ask you for your classes and your grades. You enter that in. You check a box that says, did you do activities? You say yes. And then you're done. It's the most straightforward app of them all. They are very grade heavy. So that a lot of you guys I like Cal Poly Slow, Pomona. Those are Cal States. They're very metric heavy. Nothing really else as well too, right? So keeping that in mind, and you're done. Right, so very done. That was one. Number two, UC apps, right? There's one app used for all 9 UCs. You apply, select all the schools, and you submit that one app for all of them. It's going to ask you for your personal info, your college and major, your academics, your comments, your activities, your scholarships. Of which do you want to apply to scholarships? You say yes to those, and personal insight. That's the essays, right? The personal insight, additional comments. That's the UC app, and the common app. That's the app you use to apply to private schools. There's one app for I think over 1,000 plus colleges, right? So yeah, one app for a bunch of schools. So they're going to ask you for very similar things, personal academic activities and personal statements. Insight is statement. The difference here, though, is every school you're adding on, they're going to ask you for supplementals, right? They're going to ask you for supplementals in addition to each one. So each school is going to have different things. So let's go ahead and talk about the differences for you guys as well, too, right? So activities, right? Academics is pretty straightforward, plugging your classes, plugging your grades. There's not much I can teach you guys there, right? But activities, huge difference here. Number one, UCs, they give you 20 activity slots. So for a lot of our juniors and our sophomores, right? Keep that in mind. So if you're a junior, you don't have a lot, start doing stuff, right? Start doing stuff to get close. You do want to fill it up. Our recommendation is you want to fill up as much as you can, right? 20 slots. Or does not matter, put whatever order you like. There's 6 categories you can put things under. 350 characters. The common app is 10 activity slots, or it does matter, 27 categories here, and there's 150 characters limits here. So some tips for you guys. You want to share your role, your responsibilities, and your achievements. You want to use action verbs to start off every single thing, like organized, developed, and led. You want to quantify. It's a big one. Quantify your impact whenever possible, and be consistent. Is it okay if I give you guys examples? Drop a quick yes in the chat if I give you an example, real examples of our students who have actually gone in. So these aren't like made up ones that I made up. These are actually real ones that the students have gone into colleges with these as well. So I already got 4 yeses. Come on, guys. If you guys want examples, drop a yes in the chat. So I can do that. And as you guys do that, I'm gonna take a quick little water break, a little fast. All right, there you go. There, people are excited about examples. So examples. Screenshot this. I'm not gonna go through in detail, but this student got into UPenn. This is a UPenn acceptance as well too. They're heading to UPenn is it right now too. So this is their UC one. It's not the same activity, by the way. It's 2 different activities, but it's the same student, 2 different activities. For the UC's one is for the common app. You can start seeing everything I said it showed here, right? Start with the action verb, numbers galore as much as they can is the big thing here. Okay, so the essays, talk about the essays now. When it comes to the essays, right, the UCs, they call it the personal insight. You pick 4 prompts out of 8. There's 350 words. The personal statement is called the personal statement is called personal statement. You pick one prompt out of 7 choices, 650 words. And terms of tips, these are not essays. Do not write it like an essay. Do not use a hook. Go straight in, right? Treat it as if they ask you to do it like live, like talk to me live. That's the writing style. This is what gets a lot of people messed up, right? They want to make something beautiful and perfect. Don't do that, right? Number two, focus on the student. A lot of people like talk about their parents, their friends, and everyone. Your parents and friends are not applying to college. You are applying to college. Focus on the student themselves. A good tip: every single sentence, use the words I, me, and my. If you don't use I, me, and my, it's pretty much you're not going to talk about yourself. It's pretty much what it is, right? So that's the tip here. Next one is probably the biggest one. Juniors, write this. If you took one note today, this is your main one, right? It's a 30-70 ratio. Every time you write, the UC is 350, the Common App 650. 30% of it should be what happened. What people make the mistake, they spend most of their essays on this part. Don't do that, right? Only 30%, just enough so I know what's going on. The 70% is the student. What goes on in here, in their head? Why did they do what they did? How has it made them who they are? Who have they become as a result? That is the key of this, right? I think that's the magical formula right here. If you can learn one thing today, if you can do this, your rates of going in goes up a lot, because this is the one thing most students do not do. Every single year, I hear sort of like, my kid's so smart, my kid's so good, they didn't get in. I'm like, show me your essays. They all break this, and this is the magical formula for the yes kids, right? As that. Can I give you guys essay examples? Is that okay if I give you drop a yes now if you guys want essay examples for the UCs and the Common Apps as well? Hey, I got three. Only three people want to see it. Everyone else who's here is one. There you go. A lot of yeses here, right? For the sake of time, I'm gonna skim through it. I'm gonna give you the slides. Another attempt. I'm gonna give you the slides. You guys can go through it in more detail. But this is a UC example. This student gone to UCLA, right? This student gone to UCLA with this prompt. One is one of her prompts as well, too, right? So you can see here, she picked the academic subject prompt. Boom. You guys can read this as well, too. That's that. And then this is the Common App. This student is at Cornell. So this is a Cornell prompt for us as well, too. And you can see it. Fun fact for you guys, this Cornell student is a pre-med student, right? Is a pre-med student. And you can see this whole prompt, nothing related to pre-med at all. Talks about it's makeup. So it's about makeup. Makeup and identity is kind of the tip as well, too, right? So that's that. Now that I showed you guys what it looks like, can I show you how we got there? So for juniors, this is like practical step-by-step stuff. So this is the writing process for you guys. Number one, quick pause. Is this good so far? You guys enjoying this? Drop a yes in the chat if that's good. If not, you can put no as well too. But is this useful for you guys? Again, my goal is to make this as beneficial as we can. Awesome, some yeses. All right, cool. So step number 0, do not look at the prompts. Don't look at the prompts yet. If you looked at it, ignore it. Ignore it as well too. Step number 1, identify 4 to 5 topics, experience, identities that define the student. If I had the student, hey, what's the thing that, like, if you did have it, you wouldn't be who you are, right? And they told me, oh, number 1, cool. What's the second one, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one? Big thing, no overlaps. Don't say I like math, I'm a math tutor. That's the same as math, right? Four or 5 different things. Once you have that, story time. Hey, you mentioned soccer as one of the big ones. Why? Tell me a story, like in your head without thinking too hard. What's that one story? When you said the word soccer, because we're humans, we think in stories, right? So in your head, what story are we thinking of right now? That probably made the biggest impact for you. It might not be them winning. It might be like, hey, yeah, I remember in sports practice one time, the teammate passed me the ball and I freaked out and we lost, but then they all told me it's okay, and that story that stuck in my head. Oh, interesting, right? Then step 3 is insight. This helps with someone else, parents. If you want to help your kid out, poke them, right? It's the why, right? Why? Why'd you feel that way as well too? Because you want to show who you are. Little tip here: what your topic is not what you're going to end up talking about in the essays. That's a little spoilers for you guys, right? Your topic about soccer, for example, right, is not going to be what we talk about. So if I ask a student, hey, why? They're like, oh, because that's soccer, right? They passed to him, but he lost, but the teammate didn't get mad at him. They just like, it's okay, next game as well too, because this student, and you poke at this is a real story. They poke it a little bit, and then the student was an only child, right? They were used to having to rely on themselves for everything, and it's the first time, right? They actually had a team to, like, a people of brothers to rely on. So this prompt for them started as a soccer prompt. It became a story of trusting in others and believing in himself. Ooh, that you guys got goosebumps there, right? It's not a soccer prompt. It's about the students learning in story. That's the key of these prompts, right? So then once you have that, go to now you look at the prompts. Then you match it up. Then you match it up to, oh, cool. So that you talk about identity. Oh, you gotta use prompt number 2. That one matches that the most. Cool. Once you have that, free write. This is the part that people get stuck at. The second step they get stuck at, right? First one is the insight. Second step is this. Just write. The students don't start because they just don't write. Tell them it's okay to mess up. It's okay, it doesn't flow. Just write. I need them to write to keep moving, but they keep getting stuck here, right? So just free write. It's okay, it doesn't make sense. Write as much as you can. Then editing process. I'm gonna skim through this so you guys have my notes, you guys can take a peek at it. But basically, there's 3 stages of editing. Number 1, making sure kind of what I talked about earlier, right? All the things there. And the big thing is you're writing more words because I want you to just keep cutting, right? The goal is to keep cutting. It's really hard to add. It's really easy to keep cutting. So I want students to write so much that we just keep cutting. So by the time you're at the final draft, you're at the perfect 350 or 650, right? Step number 2, this is the hard one. This is the dig deep part, right? This is the keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. This is the why, the 70%. This is why because usually by the first draft, they're like 50-50 or more skewed towards story. Then we kind of move it towards more of the second part as well too for them. The last step is easy. It's like, hey, word count, make sure it's good to go. Everything adds value to the student, right? There's 8 PIQs. All of them are great except for number 8. I highly recommend, if it was me, I would not pick number 8. Number 8 is basically why is your kid special? And then I think all of us can say in our house that our kids are special. In the context of admissions, none of us are very special as well too. So number 8 is a very, very, very hard one to get right. I've only recommended number 8 to I think like less than 5 kids my entire 16 years of doing this. So I wouldn't recommend that unless you have a really, really unique story. And for me, I pretty much heard every story except for curing cancer. That's the one story I haven't heard yet is curing cancer. But everything else I have heard many, many times. So that's that. But the other 7, though, you can probably pick between the other 7. Same thing with number personal statements. There's 7 of them. I wouldn't recommend number 7. It's too broad. It's too open. Pick the other 6 and you should be good to go there, right? Timelines. I'm gonna skim through this as well too, right? Timelines for you guys, right? April and June, you basically have your college list, your majors, brainstorming topics. By the way, this is in 2 months. So for junior families, this is for you guys right away, right? Get your drafts done before summer begins. People wait too long for this. It's not that the editing takes a long time. The first draft is fast, right? So get that done as fast as you can. You also want to ask your teachers to be recommenders for you. By the way, their portals or the applications are open. If you guys are interested, what does the UC app look like? What does the Common App? You can create an account and just create it. It's not going to affect next year's application for you guys. Go open it. It doesn't change. So every year it's the same exact app. So you can kind of start navigating as well too if you guys are bored. July, September, this is when you got to start figuring out what schools you're going to do early action, early decision. All apps open August 1st for you guys and try to get everything by September for our students. We have them done like 75-80% done with everything is usually how it is there. Okay. Deadlines, right? So there's early action, early decision. Early decision, you can only commit to one school. So this is a legally binding document. So if there's one like lifelong dream school of yours, make that your ED. Every other school, we personally recommend every school you can, as many EAs you can as possible, because you either find out that you got in or they could defer you to regular, which means you get 2 chances, right? The only reason why you don't want an EA is for us, 2 things. 1, you ran out of time. you couldn't get it done in time. Number 2, Stanford. For whatever reason, our families, we don't recommend doing Stanford. It's too hard to get in early action with us, but our kids do get in doing regular. So we recommend that. Letters of recommendation, big thing here. These are additional things. Letters of recommendations are terrible because your teachers or whoever you ask just say the same things. Make them say different things, right? So pick people who know you. Don't pick people with fancy titles. People like, oh, I know this fancy professor. I'm like, do they know you? No, don't pick them. I pick people who know you as well. The tip for you, this is the magic lesson here. You tell them what you want them to write. The topics, they are going to appreciate it. You can be like, why? You know, the student knows what they wrote in their essays. What are you forgetting to include? Have your recommender add that in their essay. They may or may not, but a good chance they will. And that will help you with that. And again, make sure to follow up consistently with them and thank them afterwards, right? October, November is application set deadlines. Early actions, early schools are due. UC apps are due November 30th. FAFSA, we'll talk a little about FAFSA a little bit. FAFSA October 1st is basically the thing there. December, you'll hear back from early school. Some schools might ask for additional things. Your first semester, senior year grades, additional lesson of rec, additional essays, interview opportunities as well too. So making sure that's done. By February, March, you'll hear back from no, from most actually all schools, because by April 1st you'll find out as well too. Keeping in mind admissions and financial aid are two separate departments. They don't talk to each other as much. So you get your acceptance letter and then your offer like a few days apart. There. April is you'll know every school you got into. I recommend you guys visit the schools, compare the financial aid, and by May 1st, submit your intent to register. So by use to deposit at that one school you want to go to. If schools don't hear back by May 2nd, they assume you didn't go with them. They're going to release your spots, is it, right? And pretty much the last of it, you get ready to go college. Make sure you finish strong, because if you fail a class, they could rescind your acceptance. So keep that in mind as well too. So don't do that, right? Finish strong. Again, C's get degrees. As long as you get a C, you're good. Don't get a D, don't get an F. That's the two things you don't want to do, okay? So that's that. Financial Aid 101 will be before we go to the gift and the Q&A. So you guys have probably heard, right? As of today, you guys have heard news. We're not going to get political on this call, but FAFSA, part of EDS, there's things about it as well too. So our prediction, nothing's going to change, right? Well, we've been in this game long enough to understand this, that there might be changes for the institutions, but not for the students. So don't worry too much there. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. So what it means is that for Cupertino families, right, is that you guys are probably like, oh, then in that case, if it still matters, I'm not going to care because I make too much money, or my neighbor didn't get any aid. So why should I get aid? Or like, we own a home, so we don't get financial aid. In fact, no, that is not true. So while it is a little harder, right, people have been getting aids, and then it might not be from the government or the state, but a lot of us, we help our students look for money from the schools. If you guys looked up any school's endowment, Google it when you're bored, right? School's endowment, they have oodles of money, and that's where bulk of money can come from as well too. And it's not loans either, right? So it's usually like free money that you guys get in the form of scholarship or a grant as well. Okay. So what is aid? If you guys don't know, it's basically everything. So it's not just loans. People think it's only loans. It's grants, work study loans, and scholarship. So I form seeing juniors in a few months, you guys will fill out. It's called FAFSA. It opens October 1st. The last few years it's been delayed, but hopefully by the time you guys do it, it should be good again as well. Both student and parent will fill it out. Both of you guys will create an account. I would recommend saving it because you have to redo it every year when you're in college as well, right? The other form is called the CSS profile. Private schools and some public schools ask for this as well. It is a much more deep dive compared to the FAFSA itself. So they ask for your life, retirement, home rentals, and other assets. It is kind of scary as well too. So make sure you understand everything as you're filling it out there, but it is needed there as well too. Something about loans. So again, if parents have been in college with an older child a while ago, the student loans kind of changed. So there is a cap now to how much money you can get. So the total is 27,000. But if I remember the slides, there's college costs a lot more than this number. So the rest of it comes from the parents, right? That's also so parents are able to cover the rest of it, and it's under you, not your child. So keeping that in mind as well too, right? And interest rates on 8.5% there. So work study is probably, you guys probably know what grants are, you know what scholarships are, but what are work study? So work study are basically student first jobs, so they have higher hourly rates. It's provided by the college. So popular ones like working at the library is a big one as well too. And then once you have your fees paid off, they give you the money the rest to the student as well too. So it's actually a pretty cool thing there. So a few takeaways when it comes to here: financial aid is not easy, but did you know that $2 and $3 billion of financial aid is not claimed every year because families think they make too much and they don't do it? Is all right. So make sure you understand the process. And then again, our goal is to make it affordable for you guys and not make any weird things. Is all. So again, we're gonna do Q&A in like three minutes. I went a little over. Apologies, PTSA. 3 minutes. We'll do some Q&A. But again, I mentioned I have a little surprise gift for you guys as well. Before I go that. Well, this is good. You guys like it? I went a little fast, but is that good? Drop a quick yes in the chat if you guys enjoyed that. Well, it's fun. You guys learned a thing or two. Hopefully you learned at least one thing. That's all too. All right. People learn at least one thing. All right. So like I mentioned, Not selling you anything today. You can't buy anything today. You can put the credit cards away if you thought I was lying earlier. And again, for those who asked earlier as well too, I'm gonna give the slides that I went through them really fast. I'm gonna give the slides, the replay to the PTSA. They'll redistribute it. I don't know how. You can ask them how they can do it. Again, for those who couldn't join, I know a few folks couldn't join us tonight. But for you guys, because I kind of gave you guys so much stuff, right? It's one of those like literally here's everything for you guys, right? So as a thank you for surviving through my 100 slides, right? Can I give you a quick little gift? Drop a number one in the chat if I can give you guys a free gift. Drop a number one. One in the chat if I give you guys a quick little gift. Just as a thank you from me. It's like a Kush Tony thank you for you guys as well too. So again, we help families as well too. So we have a book. We have a book out there. We call it the UC Admission Secrets book. We actually turn on the website, but if you guys usually you can go on the website and buy it. 1440 as well too. However, I told you nothing's for sale, so it's okay. Is it permission if I can give you this for free, just as my little special gift for coming and attending and stuff as well too. So if you guys are interested in the book, I made it a little super easy for you guys. Go ahead and just text the word CHS to the number you see on the screen, 949-298-6234. Scan it. If you're actually not on your phone, you can scan it. It'll send me a text directly. And we'll go ahead and give you the copy of the book, the ebook as well too, that way. And right, for those who, again, I know some of these names sound very familiar because you guys have probably seen me before. If you know me, I like to over deliver. So for some families who like Coach Tony hasn't delivered yet, I'm still not happy, right? I want to make you guys go, wow. That's kind of the goal for me every time I present at any school, right? So if you text CHS, we're going to give you the book and I'm going to give you some free gifts. Just like, again, a little thank you for you guys. Number one, we created a 4-year high school roadmap for our sophomore, focus on juniors, but sophomores. We have every single thing to do. Here's a preview of it, right? What to do, when to do it as well too. I'm giving you guys that for free. We're also going to give you guys a UC GPA calculator. Some of you guys are probably calculating what's my child's grades. Just plug it in, plug your numbers in, and then boom, it'll pop out your GPA for you if you guys want to do that. Number two, dual enrollment. I talked about that. It's one of my favorite things as well. We'll teach you guys exactly what classes to take. Boom, for you guys as well too. Your I get C list, right? If you guys want to take De Anza, click De Anza or pull up De Anza's list. If you want to go to any other school, technically any school in California works for I get C. You can do that. Boom, a gift as well too. Some of you guys are like, holy moly, my child needs to take the SAT now. How about I give you guys some practice tests, right? Some practice tests, some answers, some solutions as well too, the ST or ACT. And for the families, right, one thing you'll find out is that writing all this, remembering everything to write it on the college after a lot, we have a tracker that you guys can kind of keep track of your activities. It's formatted the exact format for the apps. So you kind of fill this out and you can copy paste it into the actual thing itself. Boom, if you guys get that as well too. Some of you guys like, holy moly, my child needs to join some clubs as well. I can give you a list of 900 clubs and activities ideas for you to start, or maybe start CHS. Some of you guys are here. Come together, start a club as well too, right? Boom, you guys get that. And this is really good for juniors right now. Is once you're ready to submit your apps, here's a quick little checklist of like, did you do this? Did you do this? This way it ensures that everything is good to go for you guys. So like as a little recap. If you guys will like this, just text CHS to 949-298-9234 and scan the QR code. We're going to give you guys the recording and slides once it's ready. The book, the 4-year roadmap, the GPA, the dual enrollment 101, I get see the SAT, the tracker, 900 clubs, and UC app checkoff. That's my little gift. Thank you everyone for surviving me for an hour talking as well too. Let's go ahead and kick it off and do some Q&A.
Thank you, Tony. That was a packed session, I have to say. It was a lot of information. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And so we'll quickly go over the questions that
Let's
our
do it.
parents inputted earlier. So the first one would be about majors. So is it important to have a specific major? Will an undeclared major affect the chance of admission? And what is the best UC to apply to students with an undecided major?
Yeah, great question. So realistically, right, everyone is undecided. So it's very fair that they are undecided. For the purpose of admission, however, I wouldn't recommend it, right? For the purpose of I don't want to recommend it. I would, when you're undecided, you probably are leaning towards something. If you're truly undecided, your application will look that way. But a lot of students who are undecided, they're like very STEM heavy. Then they go, okay, you're more leaning towards STEM. Keeping in mind, so again, but that being said, if you do apply undeclared, you can. It fits under the colleges. So you'll see like college lesson science, undeclared is a major under there, right? And then the schools that admit by major, so UCI and UC Santa Barbara, if if you look at their top 10 majors, both schools, Undecided is like number five as well too. So statistically, I wouldn't do that either because top 10 is really hard to get into that way. So I would encourage that this family to go and pick a major if you can. But if you really are, again, if you truly, you tried everything and you understand, it's fair game, just explain it on your app.
Okay. And if a child doesn't want to do STEM courses and is interested in English literature,
Mhm.
what major can be taken, which is job oriented, and what will be the GPA requirement?
Yeah, great question. So again, I think we kind of talked about this in the slides earlier that the career and major are two separate things, right? If they like English, take English. You can be an English major and do whatever you want to do as well too. So again, this is like one of those try it for yourself. Go to LinkedIn.com, look up the English majors and see what people actually have done with their careers, and you'll see that they do a lot of things with their life, right? You hear people in their 30s going back to school. Right, stuff like that. So you're always able to do different things. If you look at any job out there, no job, rarely does any job actually require any like specific bachelor's. They say you need a degree. And that's it, right? They keep it broad that way as well too. So I would encourage this student to explore a little more and to try and again be okay that it's gonna be fine, is all. And then colleges have career support to help you guys kind of help identify that as well too afterwards.
And if you're applying to applied math as a major, is it
Yes.
important to take AP literature at school or more community college courses like multivariable calculus and linear algebra? This is especially for the top three UCs.
The question again is should it take the college math or AP Lit, right?
Yeah.
The answer is do both. The answer is do both, right? So again, you're aiming for top schools. You want to get again, going back to the strategy, right? You want to increase the rigor of your schedule. So AP Lit hits the rigor, but you also want to max the math. So it's not an or. And then the answer, by the way, for a lot of these questions is never an or. It's always an and. Do the AP Lit and do the multivariable linear algebra differentials. You can make both work.
Okay. So I think the next question you're going to give us some answer. So is it
Sure.
necessary to load the student with multiple AP courses to be able to be admitted in college of choice in state? Do normal kids like one or two APs and no awards or not falling into any ethnic or special case classes, do they get admitted in into UCs?
So
So it's
do
a
they
yeah.
get
So
admitted
so
to
basically a
UC?
kid who
Yeah, yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
take
yeah,
many
yeah. So the
APs.
answer is, do they get admitted to UCs, right? They could, right? As well, because again, UCs is a broad name for all nine UCs. So all two is the same thing too. Would I say that they have a great chance at the top, like I say LA and Berkeley, right? Because I guess I know a lot of families are aiming there. A little tough, right? Because again, if you don't, again, from a RIA's point of view, if you didn't take a lot of classes, how do I know you're gonna be fine? Again, I think that's the big thing a lot of families don't realize is that you can get in. It's for the fame. Again, what does the ranking do? Kids get to put on their resume for a few years. Parents get to brag to your friends. That's the reality of ranking. But once your kid is there, are they going to be okay? You talk to a lot of first years, they are very sad. Right? Their life's not as they expected. Again, something again, parents with college kids right now, imposter syndrome kicks in, right? They're like, hey, I don't feel good enough compared to a lot of other my peers as well too. So one of the big things we tell families is that we want to find the best fit for you. So if you haven't done the most amount of classes, the most activities, there's probably a reason why. That's probably it. And if the answer is I didn't know, then that's different. And then we can figure out how to fix it. But the answer is I'm aware I don't want to do it because I don't want to take the classes. Cool. That's nothing wrong with that, right? Again, I think I went to a national conference. There is enough colleges in the U.S. that every student can get accepted to multiple schools. The issue is that everyone's applying to the top 100. That's the reason why it's so hard, right? But if everyone didn't care about the top 100, then there's enough schools for everyone completely as well too. But I think that's the thing. So I think it's a self-awareness for that student of like, hey, do I want to do it? Cool. Let's fix it, right? It's where you at. Adjust. You either adjust the goals or adjust your behaviors. I think those are the two things there.
Got it. And how to plan your junior summer? Are summer programs really
Mhm.
necessary?
So I answer that no, right? Can you though? You can. So if you guys want to do it, it's doing like some already have been submitted. There's still a few open for this month as well too. So when it comes to I'm assuming this question like between junior senior year is I'm
Yes.
assuming as well too. So I mentioned earlier I would take it's a mix of both academics and activities, right? Academics, if I were you guys, I would take two dual enrollment classes at the Yanza or any other school, right? Take two classes, take it from the I Getsy list, area 3, area 4. Doesn't matter which ones. You guys are friends. Go top take classes together, have fun there, right? That's the academics to help bump up the last of the academics, because that's what the REAs will see those grades. They won't see most schools won't see 12th grade. That's the reason why, right? So do that. Number two is you want to fill up your time as much as you can with activities. The what doesn't matter. You can do summer programs if you want. And I always ask students, like, how do you learn best, or how do you want to learn best? Summer programs is I like to learn in a classroom setting. That's summer programs. Do that. Internship is I like hands-on, but you need a skill. You can't have no skill. You can't intern and know nothing, because you're going to help them, right? So you have some skill. Research, I'm always about research, because realistically, most students don't do anything significant. Some do. I don't want to say everyone, but most students are they just doing it for the title of all. But the thing is, when I ask you like, why did you do it, and then most of those students don't really have a deeper answer than that, right? I think that's kind of where I catch it is all. So again, doesn't matter what, stay busy. Again, the hours. Keep in mind also, juniors, you have apps, so make sure you account for editing the essays throughout that season as well too.
Yeah, since we talked about the activities, so how
Mhm.
much weightage is given to extracurriculars compared to freelance jobs that kids might usually do?
Yeah.
Like, is an internship more ideal compared to, say, extracurricular club activities at school?
Great question. There's no comparison game, right? The comparison game is the why, right? So if I told you student A did a internship at Kaiser Permanente, the medical stuff, and we call them hood and mug internships, where they went for a week, they pay a lot of money, and all they did was sat in seminars all week long, and they left with a mug and a hoodie. What we call mug and hoodie internships. They didn't do anything. Let's say student number two got to volunteer at a local eye place, like local eye doctor or whatever. And the reason why is that their entire life they suffered from like an eye condition that they can't understand why as well too. So this second student has again not as impressive as the first one if you look at the impressiveness of things, but there's a deeper why there. So when it comes to the thing, it doesn't matter. Like most of our students don't do summer programs. They don't do a lot of these more competitive things, but the things that they do, they're really passionate about, and that's gonna be the driving force of all this, right? The stronger your why, the better the prompt's going to sound. And that's kind of the breakdown, right? The better your essays are, the better everything else is going to be. So, but you need to have good essays. You have to have a strong why, is the thing.
Right. And what do you suggest for recommendation letters if the student is not a very social kid and no
Mhm.
teachers know him or her well?
It's really hard to know no one is also I'm sure students know someone. Keep in mind, it doesn't have to be a teacher, right? As well too. So let's say the student works with something, because then they're probably online and doing stuff with other people online as well too. Maybe it's like a mentor or someone else that they can ask, right? Keep in mind, some schools might ask where I want a math, I want English, and you kind of have to be stuck with them. But for most schools, they just ask, I want three people. Whoever three people you want to pick, you pick. So don't feel it has to be just that. But again, it's really hard to go through high school and not talk to anybody or build some type of relationship out there. But again, even if whatever, again, our trick, right? You tell them what you want to write in your thing. Hey, remember this? I did this thing. Can you include that in your letter as well? So I would include that. So that kind of helps offset if people don't know you as well as others.
Yep. And this is an interesting question. Why are
Yeah.
the percentage of boys for admission is less in some UCs?
The demographic question, I have no clue. I have no we have no control over that
Yeah.
for me. So I have no clue. I would say that in our program we do have more girls than boys. So like that's stats wise. So I'm not sure how the state is broken up. So yes,
Okay.
it's a fun question to ask. I don't know the answer
Yeah.
to that one. I
Yeah.
would
But
ask the UC.
is the stats true? Like, is the data true?
Like
Like,
to clarify, right? The UCs and as of last year, all schools now, affirmative action stuff, right? So no schools use race, no schools use ethnic whatever or gender, whatever. People say it when the kids don't get in, usually, and they want to find something to blame. But like California, right? A lot of people blame, oh my God, my child is X race, that's why they didn't get in. My child was X gender, that's why they didn't get in as well, too. UCs have done, it's called Proposition 209 for those who want to get geeky about it. Back in 1996, they passed a law, Proposition 209, no race, no gender. So we've been doing this for like 18 years now, 19 years now as well too. So it hasn't been different for our state. All the other states, it just switched last year, but our state has been this way for 19 years now. So they don't look at like we don't consider like I never like oh boy extra point here. I never did that, right? It's all based on again everything that I talked about today was what I looked at there.
And can parents and students handle college application process themselves without a counselor?
Yeah, I gave you everything. So I gave you do what I told you in this call. You guys are good as well. It's the doing. That's the hard part, right? But in terms of like yeah, the stuff we give out again, I think information should be free. One of our like our mission statement is to make college accessible to everyone. So that's why like I love partnering with the PTAs. Thank you for like Cupertino for reaching out to me to do this as well too. Like I don't think there's anything stopping you guys from doing this on your own, right? It's that I think even our families they don't do like they're capable. I think the big thing for families who work with us is like they want that accountability. And that's the extra thing you get, right? But then I think families are more incapable. Like my favorite messages every year is because again in our Facebook group, parents message me and say, "Hey, Coach Tony, we couldn't afford your stuff, but right, I listened to everything. I went to every training you guys gave, and my kids gone to this school." And I'm like, dude, those are the best messages I think that I used to get. I love those. So I don't think that's actually anything stopping you guys. It's all again, it's just understanding, right? Again, a lot of you guys came in probably thinking, "Oh, GPA is the most important. My kids got to get a research program or not as well too." So if you think that way, then and you don't get in, and you're like, wait, that's so confusing. But everything I told you today, think of every kid who got in, compare what I told you with every kid who got in. It matches completely. And I think it's just understanding what is important, what's not important. Just focus on the things that are important. I think that's my big takeaway from the whole thing.
Okay, two more questions and then
Yes.
we can move to the questions in the Q&A tab.
Yeah, we'll do it.
So, about how much GPA San Jose State University will consider the student?
So Cal State's, I believe the minimum GPA is a 2.0 for Cal State's. I'm sure you want higher than that, right? Is that I don't know. Is San Jose your local feeder
Yeah,
school?
it
Do you
is.
know?
It is. It
Then
is our local CSU.
usually if it's a local feeder school, then they have a much lower requirement as long as you get a 2.0, it's almost guaranteed admissions. I think if not, it is guaranteed admissions. I would call San Jose State and just ask them about it because I know like each pocket. So again, state schools are meant for that, right? State schools are meant to like be the feeder schools for your area as well too. So as long as you meet the minimum requirement, it's almost a guaranteed acceptance. Like for example, where I'm from is Fullerton. So if I want to go Fullerton, I just gotta say I'm applying and I'll get in automatically because of that. So I think where you guys are geographically located, I think San Jose State is your local state school. So I think it's 2. The answer is 2.0 to anybody else besides your school. But for your school, I believe just call them and I'm pretty sure it's a guaranteed admissions.
Okay. And final question, how to manage stress during the college application process?
Yeah, great question. I think planning, right? I think a lot of it is planning as well too. I think people get stressed. If you think about like in life now, you get stressed like bills and things that emergencies. It's because you didn't expect them, right? You didn't expect the bills to happen. You didn't expect, but if you know every month we got to pay the mortgage or the rent, so you know it's there. You do it. You know every month you got to pay the water bill. You got to pick up the kids, right? So you know the things are there, so you plan for it. So I think the biggest, I think that's why again, thank you again for the PTA for inviting me out of like here's the information, here's the knowledge, here's what you should expect to know coming into the process is the thing. Once you know it, you can plan for it. A lot of people just don't know and they're stressed because they're just kind of they're just reacting. You're reacting to everything that's happening. Oh my goodness, this and that. Oh my goodness, and that as well too. Versus like, okay, cool. I know juniors right now, right? Juniors, I know my child may be taking the SAT or not. Cool, I got prep for that. Cool. Maybe in April, they can follow our timeline. I gotta get them started on their essays as well too. So by the time they're summer, they're good to go. So as long as you know kind of what to expect, nothing really stresses you out. Okay, some levels, but not as much as like, oh my goodness, everyone's doing this and my child hasn't started yet. That's when stress kicks in really hard for things. So I think this is being prepared, and I think yeah, I think this training is should be a good like just follow just follow it. Like, I pretty much when the PTSA asked me, can you? I'm like, yeah. So I made the most comprehensive, you guys know, the most comprehensive training I can get in a short amount of time that like this should get you guys mostly anywhere you kind of want to go, long as you do the work. That's kind of the big thing there.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. And I think we can go over the questions in the Q&A tab. Do you want to do it yourself, Coach?
Sure. So right now I see questions in the chat. If you guys want to go ahead and pop in the Q&A, I'm gonna try to go as fast as I can as well too. I do want to respect everyone's time, so we might go like 2 minutes over the limit just to speed through. But again, if you guys are interested in the freebie, the books, go ahead and text CHS to 949-298-6234. I saw a few of these questions earlier. I'm gonna go ahead and get our video team to get this edited for you guys. I'll send it over to the PTSA, and then however they distribute you guys, they'll get you guys the everything as well too. Okay. So the question here, I think you already answered it. Like, do you have to hire a professional? I don't think you need to. You can if you want to, but I think you need to. Where can we access it? I'm gonna send it to the PTSA, so you guys can grab it from them. Or if you guys want to text us, we'll text you also once we have it ready, as well. Which activities do you recommend for a CS major? So we're computer science, right? So if you're asking what computer science things should I do, again, keep in mind there's like taste of the major and what makes a student different. I always have them do both. What things CS, a lot of our CS kids do something related to coding, right? So to do something coding related is the thing. This summer, internships, if they have the skills, work for little tip for you, right? For those who stayed all the way to the end. A good little tip to get an internship, if you guys want an internship right away without having to apply somewhere. Go LinkedIn. This is a super secret now. Go LinkedIn.com, look up computer science people who work in projects or startups, small startups. Again, this method requires you having skill. So if you don't have skill, get the skill first, then come back and do this training, right? Do this part. But let's say your child knows how to code. They're decent. They're not the slowest, they're not the fastest, but they're decent, right? I would reach out to startups, reach out to computer science folks and say, hey, I'm a high school student. Can I volunteer my time to help you out with this project? I know you're working on this. I can help you build this part of it. Can I help you do that? If they say yes, right? And you can reach out and it's not one. You got to reach out to 100 people. Reach out to 100 people. I guarantee you, reach out to 100 people, one person will say yes to you. When that one person says yes to you on your app, what did you do? Now you have hands-on experience in the field. By definition, that's what an internship is. You can put that on your app as an internship opportunity there as well too. The other half of it is things that you enjoy, right? So what I throw it back to this anonymous for you, right? I throw it back to like, hey, what does your child like to do? Have them do that as well too, because every CS case looks exactly the same now. So don't do more of the CS stuff unless they're lacking it and do that, but do more of them that makes them different, right? What course for pre-med? Try to get to Calc BC at the minimum. If not, even do like multivariable as well too. But focus on the biological science, AP Bio, AP Chem, AP Environmental Sciences. If your school has human anatomy, go for that as well there. Kid taking AB and AB. So this student took calculus AB 11th grade. You take BC in 12th grade or stats engineering. So if you're an engineer, what I would have you do is I would stop doing math at the high school and go to the college. So this summer, again, it depends how good they are in math. Anonymous again, right? If they're good in math, I would have them go in the summer, take calculus 2 at the college at the end, for example, right? Then in the fall, take multivariable calculus. In the spring, take differential equations. You can take AP stats too at your high school at the high school level because that's easy as well too. But the why I do that is like if you do BC, you're up to BC. If you do Calc 2, Calc 3, linear algebra, that's 3 years of additional math versus 1 additional year. So I would do that for you guys. Does essay service make the essays too polished and make it less authentic in the eyes of admissions? I think it depends who you're asking to get edited as well too, right? We live in a fun world where AI is here now. I'm a huge AI geek, so it's coming. It's here. A lot of our past 2025 seniors kind of had to go through like a little change. I know it's gonna be big for 2026, so we'll see how that is. It depends, right? I think at least with us, we don't change the students' writing style. We help pull out their why. And I think again, that's kind of the big takeaway of it, right? You just pull out the why from them versus anything else. Because if you look at our edits, we don't. Again, I want them to keep their voice. Again, the readers aren't looking how good of a writer you are. They just want to learn who you are. So I just pull out more of the why. Hey, I need more here. I need more here. I need more here. And eventually, they pull out enough of that. Like, damn, we're good, right? I think those are the best edits of all. Transfers, how do you verify if there's not an MOU? For transfer, how do you verify if there's an MOU? I'm not sure I understand the question, but if you go to community college route, oh, fun fact, if you do, I didn't talk about this, but if you do community college, there's something called TAG. TAG is a transfer admissions guarantee. There's also a TAP program. TAG is a guarantee to several UCs in Cal States. TAP is a enhancement program for UCLA, UC Berkeley. So if you do that, I recommend doing that. Follow the requirements. You should be guaranteed there. I'm gonna squeeze in two more last ones real fast. And by the way, for those who didn't do it, just drop it in the chat somewhere, and then I'll go ahead and again I'll record it tonight, tomorrow. I'll send it to the PTSA, and they'll distribute the questions so everyone will get their questions answered somehow, right? If you could put a percentage to the academics, activities, and application, what would that be? Mathematically, I would do 60% essays, 25% activities, 15% academics. So I just want to do the biggest thing is your application. How many families have you guys seen super smart kids, super activities get rejected, right? And you see a lot of those, and that's why the application is so important because most people get that wrong is the thing. Because again, if it wasn't that important and their strong grades, strong activities can bring it over, that's not the case. So applications is the most important, and between the academics and activities is more important as well too. Last question here. Should I take some college level classes this summer? Does it help with college apps? I would take two classes, take IGETC approved courses at the ENSA, Area 3, Area 4. Pick the first level classes, look at the professors, try to find easy teachers. Sign up for two classes this summer from your counselor. You need the information to sign off on it. Summer classes, the registration will open in September? No, sorry, in April, March or April. So you have like 1 or 2 months to get ready for that. Awesome. There,
Okay.
that's pretty much it for the Q&A. There's a lot in the chat. I can answer those later, but I'm going to kick it off back to you guys for the wrap up.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tony. This was a really good presentation. A lot of information packed in there and a lot of good questions, and thank you for answering them. And once we receive the recording from Tony, we will send it to parents both via the CHS mailer. It will reach to all 10th and 11th grade parents, and we'll also post it in our social media groups. Thank you, Tony, and thank you everyone for coming to the event. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your night. I'll chat to you guys soon.
Bye.